Well, hi everybody. It's Dr. Chris here. I'm coming on a special day or not day, it's time to talk to you about the raindrop technique. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of raindrop technique and the origins and the theories and really just what it's about. And then this is starting off a series that I will go over the different particular parts of the raindrop technique and how to actually do it. But I'm taking this step by step because there's so many different parts to this that I don't want you to miss a crucial point of it and just start, throwing oils on people or yourself if you're doing some of the self-care that I'm going to talk about too, because really this technique is more about a person doing it to another because we're putting oils on the back and it's kind of hard to do that yourself. But there's also application on the feet. And for that part, you can certainly, there's a way to do it yourself that I've taught people. So let me just show you what you get. It comes in a kit. So this is the box it comes into. That's the oversleeve. And then inside, you are going to get the V6 oil, the 9 essential oils, and you're going to get the Ortho Ease carrier oil with the oils in it as well. So, and there they go. I'm going to go over the oils next time. So let's get right into what is this technique and why you should be doing it on a regular basis. So first of all, it really is a powerful technique. It's non-invasive and it usually takes about an hour or so, sometimes a little longer to do the full technique. And you're going to use 9 essential oils layered along the spinal column and the feet. And on the spine, the oils are going to be applied using gentle massage techniques with very minimal pressure. So it's not a deep tissue massage. It is more of technique-wise therapeutic action of getting the oils into the body. So the oils are strategically dropped over the spine, and the spine contains nerve pathways. So it's that communication between the brain and the rest of the body, and that's how it goes through the spine to out to wherever it's going to. So the raindrop therapy, which it's also called, is unique in that it targets the body on a cellular level using the nervous system's communication system for that essential oil delivery. So where did all of this begin? Well, back in 1989, Gary Young, who is the founder of Young Living, he took a centuries-old ritual of a Native American tribe called the Lakotas in South Dakota, and he paired that information of this ritual with the information he was learning about essential oils. So a tribe elder of the Lakotas explained to Gary that what they would do every winter is go north into Canada and experience the Northern Lights. So for those of you who don't know what the Northern Lights are, in the Northern Hemisphere, way at the top, so in places like Canada and Norway and the top of Russia and Alaska, you will see these amazing light displays, different colors, purples and greens, and just really amazing. And these are made because of the electromagnetic energy that is occurring in the wintertime. It doesn't happen in the summer, just in the winter when it's the coldest and the darkest in the northern part of the world there. So these Lakotas would go to Canada and they would literally breathe in and hold in. They would raise their arms up to the sky and draw in this electromagnetic energy because they believed that this energy had healing powers. And It really does. So they were correct, but this is what they would do each year. Now, unfortunately, in 1783, there was a border created between Canada and the US. And so they were prevented from making this yearly migration to northern Canada for this ritual. So instead, what they did was create a technique where they used an eagle feather to simulate the effects of the northern lights on their mind, body, spirit energy. So in raindrop technique, the essential oils are dispersed along the spine using a feathering technique that is mimicking or simulating this Lakota tradition. And then those essential oils have, of course, healing properties in and of themselves. So let's just talk a little bit more about this whole electromagnetic energy aspect. So our brains work by transmitting electrical signals through the nervous system down to the rest of the body. And conversely, the body sends electrical signals back to the brain and says, here's what we're doing, here's what we're experiencing. And then the brain will go, oh, okay, now we need to do this to adapt to the situation. So it's a sort of safety pin cycle. This is how the brain works, and this is how the brain has top-down control of the rest of our body. So our neurologic electrical system can be affected by what's going on in our environment. And that can be positively, as in the case of the Northern Lights, or negatively, as in the case of, let's say, electric magnetic radiation in large amounts that we're now starting to experience more and more in our society. So the rate of signal transmission in the brain to the body is goes at 180 miles per hour, and the human brain processes 11 million bits of information per second. Now, our conscious mind only is able to process about 50 bits per second, which is still a lot when you think about it, but compared to 11 bits per second, or 11 million, sorry, it's incredible. So what we are experiencing with our senses, in other words, our five senses, is very limited in our capacity of what we are able to sense. And that is evident in the light spectrum. So the light spectrum, we're able to visualize in our visual spectrum, here, where really the light spectrum is beyond the screen here. Not that it's not there, we just can't perceive it. We can't see x-rays, but they exist, right? So our conscious mind, in its ability to process, it serves us in a way, but our subconscious is so powerful because most of what we are experiencing, we don't even recognize. And again, this can work on many levels, in a positive way or a not so positive way. So we have to be careful about this whole subconscious programming. And if we do get these negative concepts stuck in our body, essential oils are actually a great way, a gateway to help release them because of their therapeutic action, which I'm going to talk about in 1 second when I finish this section on energy and frequency. So I did a video on frequency on my other YouTube channel, which I will put a link in the description if you are interested to learn a little bit more about frequency, because everything has a frequency. Everything. Every cell in our body, the chair you're sitting on, if you're sitting on a chair, the food we eat. So everything has a frequency, which is basically the rate of oscillation of molecules within that object. Remember, I talked to you about the visible light spectrum in which what we're able to perceive. Well, our perception is that we are solid and I'm separate from this chair. But in reality, we are more space and more energy, and I am continuous with the chair I'm sitting on. It's, it's hard to wrap our brain around it, but basically just know everything has a frequency. We are constantly in motion on an energetic level. So this includes essential oils. Now, I want to talk a little bit about frequency because even though essential oils have a frequency, so whatever oil you have in your hand, whether it's lavender or frankincense, has a frequency. But that frequency is also going to be in a range depending on what the quality of that oil is. And that depends on the quality of the seed that plant was grown from, you got the oil, the growing conditions, the harvesting of the oil, if there were any pesticides used or herbicides, if there was love portrayed while that plant was growing, the distillation process, everything has to be taken into consideration when we were talking about an energetic level. So if you've got an essential oil that has been used the best seed, the best growing conditions, completely organic, nobody allowed around the plant that was having any negative energy coming through. It was harvested on the best day possible in the best conditions, how that plant likes to be harvested. It was distilled at the right temperature for the right amount of time. Then you are going to have a higher frequency oil. If, on the other hand, you're using a genetically modified seed, you are growing using pesticides and herbicides, and you're not having the best growing conditions, and you just, you've got somebody taking care of the plant that's always in a bad mood, and they are not cutting the plant at the right time in the right way that the plant likes. For instance, Melissa likes to be gently cut and then has to be laid down very gently. You can't just come and thresh it. And then distilling for the right amount of time. And I'll talk about that in a second when I talk about chemical constituents. So this is really crucial when we're talking about frequency and energy and the quality of what you're using. So, and again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in detail with the chemical constituents. But just know this. Our physical body has a frequency in general. Again, there's a range, 60 to 78 megahertz, because that's going to vary on your mood, your emotions, your health, what you're eating, who you're around, et cetera, et cetera. The essential oil frequencies range from 52 to 320. Rose has got a really high frequency at 320. But there's also some studies showing Idaho blue spruce has a frequency, or can have a frequency of 580 megahertz. Super high frequency. So when we apply essential oils topically to our body, we are going to take on that higher frequency. These oils are so small, they're able to penetrate our cells. They're so small. They go into the body from the skin, get absorbed into the bloodstream, and get delivered to the cells, each cell in our body, within a very short period of time. So this is how we are able to use these oils therapeutically to raise our frequency. Also, during the Raindrop technique, slight pressure is going to help create an effect of an electrical charge, which is going to help contribute to the therapeutic value of what you're doing. All right, so let's move on now to the chemical constituents. These are the molecules that make up the essential oil, and that is what creates the change in the body. And not just our bodies, by the way, also animals' bodies. And even it can have an effect on other plants that are growing. So that's a whole nother topic. But these therapeutic effects are conscious and subconscious. they're going to affect your mind, body, spirit, which I say is connected because they are connected. You cannot separate them. Now, each oil will contain hundreds of constituents, but each oil is also going to have a higher concentration of some of these constituents that's unique to the oil. In other words, frankincense is very high in something called sesquiterpenes, all right? So you're going to hear these chemicals. Don't get put off and go, oh my gosh, it's a chemical. Don't worry about it. I've been trying to break down these different constituents, and so far I've done a video on eucalyptol and D-limonene, which I will put a link in the description, because there's actually been studies on these chemical constituents and some of the therapeutic effects they've had. So there are actually studies out there that you can look at, and it's not to say that this is exact, but this is actually science. That is why these oils work. So I alluded to that proper distillation was essential for that electromagnetic effect, but it is also crucial to maintain the integrity of these constituents. So in other words, for example, cypress has 288 natural constituents. Only if you are distilling cypress at the proper temperature for the proper length of time, which I believe is 24 hours. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But if someone distills cypress by 10 degrees higher or lower, you're only going to get 11 constituents. Isn't that crazy? From 288 only off by 10 degrees. So it is crucial that the process of distilling is done in a way that these constituents are able to be present, because otherwise you are not going to see a therapeutic value. And this is what I found with essential oils from my personal experience. I had been using essential oils, other companies, reputable brands that you see on the shelf in the whole health food store, labeled organic and pure and all this other type of stuff. But I wasn't seeing any therapeutic value, not on any level. Now I know why. And this is why I only use Young Living. And this is why I do this education, because I feel like if you are going to get the benefit of essential oils, you want to make sure that you're using something that's going to actually work and not harm you as well. So I'm going to put a link to a page from Young Living about the Seed to Seal promise that Young Living has, where it goes through these three different pillars talking about the quality of the oils that they are putting out. And they're the only company that owns their own farms. Some of the oils they do have to co-opt with other farms, but they are the only ones have their own that don't have any farms at all that you can actually go to and see for yourself what they're doing. It's pretty incredible. And talk about high frequency. It's so amazing. The other thing with cypress is most companies, I did find this out, are not distilling because they're not really having control over the process. Most of them are getting their oils from brokers, and they don't have a chance to really make sure that this is what's happening. But most other companies are not having cypress that's being distilled for 24 hours. And again, if I'm wrong, please correct me. This is just from information I have, and I'm always willing to learn. And I will certainly love any information that you have about this. But if you don't distill cypress for that 24 hours, again, you will not be getting those 288 natural constituents. So this is why I only use Young Living oils, and this is why I can only recommend Young Living oils for the Raindrop technique. And that leads me to my next point, which is some of the criticism that you will see when you search for Raindrop technique online. You will see people talking about never apply essential oils directly to your skin. And perhaps people have had bad experiences with this if they are using essential oils that don't have all the therapeutic constituents. Maybe they are using oils that have been diluted with synthetics or other toxic ingredients. I don't know. But I have to wonder if people were having negative experiences, if they were actually using Young Living oils or just using what they had in their cabinet or bought at the health food store or God forbid, Bed Bath and Beyond. There's no way those $5 bottles of frankincense are pure. It just, if something is priced too good to be true, it's not the real thing. So if you are applying essential oils directly to your skin and you have sensitive skin, well, this is where carrier oils come in, which is why part of the Raindrop technique has the V6 oil and the Ortho Ease oil. Now, this one has some oils in it. This is just carrier oils. So whenever you're having an experience where you put oils on your skin and they are too hot, meaning they're burning or itching or you have discomfort in any way, or maybe it's gotten too red on your skin. And some of these oils will create redness. That's part of their therapeutic value. But if anything becomes too uncomfortable, all you do is you apply a little bit of V6 oil, or you can do coconut oil or any other carrier oil, any oil you would put in your food, and you apply that over the area. It will help to dilute the oils so that they become less hot. Now, if you know you have sensitive skin, you're going to be telling the person doing the Raindrop technique, or if you're working on somebody who has sensitive skin, apply a layer of the V6 oil first to their back or their feet. And then you can drop the oils over their back and it will go onto the oil first and then get absorbed as you apply these techniques that we will talk about in the next coming weeks. So this is a simple way to take care for different people with different needs. It's really not a problem, but just in case you do see something out there, I really just, it comes into question what they were actually using if they were having problems with this technique. Now, you might wonder, why is this called Raindrop Technique or Raindrop Therapy? There's no raindrops involved in this. There's essential oil drops. And so this comes from the name of the way the oils are applied. So while we're working on the back, the oils are dropped from the body along the spine at about 6 inches. That's probably a little bit more, but that's usually about what I do. This is the body. So you're dropping it from about 6 inches. And that simulates the feeling or the effect of raindrops gently falling on the back. Remember we talked about that electromagnetic field? Well, in people, it extends about 3 inches. Some people, it might even be more, might even be almost 5 or 6 inches. So if you've ever seen those auric pictures, that's the electromagnetic field extending out from the body. And again, we can't see it. It doesn't mean it's not there. So by dropping the oils from about 6 inches, what you're going to do is the oil, as it goes through, it's going to go through the electromagnetic field of the person and engage with it and enhance the therapeutic properties of the oil as it is distributed along the spine. So what are some of the raindrop therapy uses and benefits? Well, number one is going to help support the nervous system. So I talked all about the brain, the controls through the nervous system, and how the brain controls the rest of the body through our nerve pathways. So when you are using the raindrop technique, you're supporting that whole system. Another huge one is immune support. So next time when I talk about what these oils do in particular, you'll understand a little bit more about why the raindrop therapy is great for immune support. I'm not going to go into it now, but the therapeutic properties of the oils will say it all. It helps support our respiratory, circulatory, and really every other system in the body, because remember, the brain controls every system in the body. So when you're supporting the nervous system, you help support every system. It helps support our natural detoxification system by clearing and cleaning out the doorway of the cells with a constituent called phenol. And again, I will talk more about these things, if not when I talk about the oils, as I go through the constituents in the future. But just know it's a constituent that helps with this detoxification by getting the cells clear so that the good things can get in and the bad things can get out. It helps to aid the body's natural response to inflammation. So this is, everybody wants to, get rid of inflammation, but we actually do need it in a very short period of time to help with the clearing out process. So it helps with that. So whatever you're inflamed with can do what it needs to do. So it doesn't become chronic. It's more of a temporary situation. The oils are soothing to the muscles, joints, and bones, especially when applied with the techniques that I'm going to show you. It helps to aid in structural alignment. Now, this might be an effect of what it's doing to the nervous system, and also the effect on the muscles, and especially because the muscles are what helps guide the shape of the spine depending on how you're using your system. So in other words, the balance of front to back and side to side, those muscles move the bones in the spine, but they will also shape how our skeletal structures form, and vice versa. Pardon me. It also can help with easing discomfort after exercise because of this relaxing effect and soothing effect on muscle joints and bones. And there can also be an emotional release. So we store emotions in our body sometimes, and this is a way to release those stuck emotions. All right, just a little note on safety of the raindrop technique and maybe some other concerns or questions you have. So like any other therapy, whether it be chiropractic or massage, acupuncture, whatever it is, there can be some after effects as a result of what you're doing. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. So sometimes as a chiropractor, after I work on a patient, they might be a little, sore, like they've just exercised because I've just moved things around in their body physically. Sometimes after an adjustment, they might be a little tired because their system was so amped up that they were like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to sleep after. Everybody's going to have their own response. And so what I always say is, just take note. Take note after the raindrop technique if you're feeling anything physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, and just to make a note of it. And sometimes I'll have suggestions. So in other words, to mitigate a lot of the effects of detoxing, like headache or sinus drainage or fatigue or maybe achiness, is to drink water. So a lot of these effects can be mitigated and even prevented by just drinking water. So having a lot of water right after the therapy is super helpful. And if you have any of those mild detoxing symptoms, you just want to make sure you drink a lot more. And also avoid the things that cause dehydration, like alcohol and cigarettes and things that are going to put more toxins into your body as well. You also want to make sure that you're chilling out after your session. You're not rushing off here and there after you've done really anything. So Like with chiropractic and massage, if I have some work done, I really try to make sure I'm going to do my exercise beforehand and I don't have much planned for after, because I want to allow time for everything to reset and give my body time to do what it needs to do to process the information. And if there needs to be some detoxing, it has that chance to do it instead of overloading it in other ways. Now, there may also be emotional releases. So just know that if that happens, this is not uncommon. If you have any emotions that are stuck, then this process may help release them. Just acknowledge it. Know that it's common and normal and okay. You can certainly reach out to the person who gave you the Raindrop Therapeutic Technique therapy, or if somebody contacts you, just know it's okay. And if they need some help, you can maybe offer them some essential oils. Some of my favorite are the blend of frankincense, stress away, and lavender, which all come in the starter kit as the memory reset blend. And I'll put a link to that. I've done a video on that before, which will help just sort of that process of getting those emotions out of the body and then stopping any other negative ones from coming in and getting stuck too. So that's probably, I would say, the best one. Trauma life is another good one. Surrender is another good one. Hope, if they're having a little moment of depression in there. All good. So this is a really safe technique. It's very gentle. It can be done on children. If you want to dilute the oils, like I said, you can put the carrier oil on the back first before you start working, and that will help dilute them so that you don't have any concerns. And even another way you possibly could do it as well, if you are working on a very sensitive person or a child, is to put your oils in a bottle, in a dropper bottle. I don't have one sitting here, but you could pre-dilute them, and then take a dropper, or put the diluted oils in a, get a bottle. Let's just say I used all this up. You could dilute the oil, put some oil in, dilute it, and then you can drop that on the spine as well. So there's ways around sensitivity if you're finding someone is reacting to straight oils on the back. So really, this technique can be done very, very safely for especially older children on up. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. Next week, we're going to dive into those 9 oils, what they are, the benefits of the oils, what they're used for, and their therapeutic effects. So I hope you join me for that. And if you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up and share with your friends who might be interested in what the Raindrop Technique is about. And if you are not yet a Young Living member, please reach out to me. I will put all the info in the description on how to get your oils. But if you just want the Raindrop kit and you don't want a starter kit, reach out to me and I can help you do that as well. Thanks so much and have a great week. I will be back at my normal time next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, and I will see you then.